Listen, I'm not one to sit here and gloat about being right in previous scenarios. That's a lie. I gloat all the time. It's fun. You should gloat sometimes. I enjoy it. One of the things that I'm going to gloat a little bit about was my being right about the Panthers last year and how I just didn't love that Sam Darnold decision. I thought was so dumb. I did not like it at the time, especially don't like it now because you almost have a negative asset that you gave up draft capital to get. I didn't get that, quite frankly. At least you didn't give a first and third for Carson Wentz, I suppose. But, it's still not the ideal scenario. However, what can Panthers do? Are they just a complete dumpster fire mess that they just have to, blow it up? I don't think so. I think there's things you can do if you are the Carolina Panthers to try and improve this offseason. And obviously, the quarterback position is going to be a big one, but there's other things as well that they can do. So first, let's just talk about, let's talk about where they're at in terms of just where they were at last year in the talent perspective. So what you see on the screen, this is where Pro Football Focus ranked each of their positional categories last year. So for the passing game, worst in football. Offensive line, hey, second worst in football. The strength of your team, you're second worst in football offensive line. Joking a little bit, but the offense was tough. Receiving core, also worst in football according to PFF. Running game was a little bit better, and again, it would have been much better, obviously, if McCaffrey stayed healthy, but that's starting to become a bigger and bigger if now than it had been in previous years. So there you go. For the receiving core, like DJ Moore's great, like DJ Moore a lot, but kind of these guys that we thought would be like good options for them just weren't as much. Robbie Anderson did not have the year we were hoping he would have. He kind of did take a step back, I thought. Terrence Marshall Jr., I was really excited for. I really liked him out of college, and he didn't have a great year. So maybe you just say, it was the Joe Brady thing. Maybe that's possible, but I don't know. There's some issues there, and I think you could potentially, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world to throw another body into that room just because that could potentially work out. The defense was actually good last year, and these grades would have been higher had they stayed healthy. Now, no team stays completely healthy, but still, there was some stuff to like about this defense for sure, I thought. For example, J.C. Horn, who we didn't see much of, only 142 snaps before he got hurt, but he looked like a legit good corner when he was out there, which is crazy when we're talking about these, young corners. So that's the hope, is that young players continue to get better. Like Derek Brown has established himself as a good interior defensive lineman, and he was just in his second year. The Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns thing really worked out with Yetur Gross-Matos as a rotational piece. That's a good edge rushing core. So you got some stuff to like about this defense for sure. That's the strength of this team, and that's why I'm not willing to just completely get rid of all optimism. They have some work to do, but the defense is where this team is built. They just got to fix that abysmal offense. So first, let's go here. So this is where the Panthers are at in terms of how much cap space they have and who their upcoming free agents are. So as I talk about how this is the team that could, had a good defense, and that's kind of what you build around, well, you got some defensive players you have to sign. Obviously, you have Gilmore, which that kind of felt like just sort of a one-year rental type move, which I actually liked a lot, that move. I thought it was a good move. Didn't really work out because, wasn't able to stay on the field for the whole season, but the process was there. The process made sense. You also have Hassan Reddick, who, again, the logic was, hey, let's take a flyer on a guy who we're going to put in a slightly different system, use him in a different way he had been getting used in Arizona, and it worked out. So maybe you just say, okay, well, that worked out. We got a year. Let's hope to do that again. Or do you pay him the $12 million a year that he's asking for? Again, what you see next to them, that's how much PFF is expecting they will get in free agency. You also have Dante Jackson, again, quality corner for them, so $10 million a year. So, okay, the defense is great. Build around the defense. Well, you have to keep the defense, too, so that's the other aspect. However, I think that they should be able to, again, I don't know how big of a piece Gilmore really was to that defense. He was good when he was on the field, but he only played 300 snaps for them. But, you could re-sign all of them, really. You also have center Matt Paradis, who, again, has had some really good years over the course of his career, is now just projected to get $4 million. I wouldn't hate that as a move to keep him. I think that would make some sense to me. Also, DaQuan Jones, he's another defensive lineman. He's an interior defensive lineman, so a guy who, if you lose, you will have to replace with somebody. So If they wanted to re-sign everybody, they need $46 million, which would mean they have to clear $31 million. But again, you can spend over the cap. Just look at the New Orleans Saints. They could re-sign all these guys if they wanted to. They really could. So that's kind of where they're at. As for the players they could cut, Sam Darnold, not saving you much. Usually I round up or down, but I wanted to just explain, Sam Darnold's was about $270,000 if he is cut, but you save $19 million if he's traded. And I don't think it's crazy to think that you could find a team that'd be willing to trade for him. Like, I think about the Houston Texans, for example. Would they consider trading for a Sam Darnold? I think there's a chance they would consider it, quite frankly, because, hey, if we're going to suck anyways, might as well take a flyer on a quarterback who had potential. And, for the Panthers, you'll probably just say, let's swap sevenths. You can have Sam Darnold. Or maybe you're that team who says, we don't really have a great spot at quarterback. Maybe we draft somebody, but this isn't a great quarterback draft. Maybe we kind of just punt on this year and have Sam Darnold maybe take a flyer on someone else, sign a Jameis Winston, and kind of just, let them duke it out, and maybe one of them works out. There are some other players they could consider cutting. You're not going to get a ton of money for these other guys, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying they should cut any of them, but these are guys that are on the table that you could, if you wanted to, that would save some money without giving you too much dead cap. But again, you're not exactly moving the needle with either of these guys. So Sam Darnold's the only guy that would really move the needle cap-wise. Don't know why they gave him the 5th-year option. Again, I will never understand their love for Sam Darnold. That made 0 sense to me. I just think the Panthers are in such a unique scenario. For one thing, you do have the number 6th overall draft pick, so you can use that to get better. But then they don't pick again until round 5. So, at that point, you're just taking flyers. So if you do go quarterback with that number 6th overall pick, which you could consider, you have to really like that quarterback because, you might have a lackluster receiving core, a bad offensive line, and a young quarterback. That's a tough situation to put someone in. So if you instead say, let's just grab another wide receiver or let's grab a good offensive lineman and kind of just punt on this season, get a veteran quarterback who could maybe play okay, and just go from there, I think there's more logic to that unless you love a quarterback. I think that's probably what I would do, I think, because, again, for Matt Rule, this could just tank your career, quite frankly. I mean, that's an option. Is that for someone like Matt Rule? When I guess that's where things really get interesting, right? Because if you're Rule, you're not doing that. You're not saying, let's punt on this season, because then you're probably fired. It's been 3 years. Guys don't really get a 4th year if you don't make the playoffs in the first 3. So maybe he signs an Andy Dalton and thinks he can get to the playoffs that way. Or maybe you see something crazy. Maybe you see a trade for a veteran, like a Kirk Cousins, like a Matt Ryan, although I don't know if they would trade in division. And, if you made a Kirk Cousins trade, you probably would want to get rid of the Sam Darnold contract. So it might have to be a 3-way trade to get that off the books on top of it. So that might be something you have to do. Or do you sign a Jimmy Garoppolo and then try to use that number 6th overall pick, again, on an offensive piece that can help you? Or do you try to sign offensive pieces and then draft a quarterback and hope that you can get a good one right away? That's what you have to do. And I think that what you never want is, guys who are making decisions to be desperate. You want to plan for the future. And I think that the Panthers are in a bit of a desperate situation because of the Sam Darnold move. It really does come back to that. That was a really dumb decision, not just to keep Sam Darnold and make that move. Making the move is fine, but putting all your eggs in that basket was just listen, there was reason like Sam Darnold. It did not work out, and now they're in trouble. We'll see what they do. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? I'm sure Panthers fans will tell me exactly why I'm wrong this year like they did last year, so we'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.